up, never down, never. Like a theme in a song, clever. Feeling high, feeling low at the same time. Feels so right, then I'm wrong, hoping I'll be fine. But I get up, I always do.
Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all okay. So this has been a long time sort of video coming, and I know that a few of you have commented on my YouTube channel recently and sort of like asked where I am and wanted an update, and I just thought today's the day that I need to actually give you that update. I feel like I've got so much to tell you, but at the same time I've never known how to sort of tell you, if that makes sense. And I always knew that I would sort of officially make this update video at some point, but I never knew how to start it or how to just sort of tell you. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, I have obviously been absent for a good few weeks, and I know obviously, as most of you might know, or if you're sort of new here you might have caught up by now, but obviously I went through a bit of a rough time last year in hospital, and I sort of came out like late December and sort of not had many videos obviously at the back end of last year due to me being in hospital for so long, and then sort of the start of this year it's been on and off sort of while I've been adjusting to the real world and all my new medical stuff and things like that. But there are quite a few things I need to update you on, and like I said, I didn't really know how to start it, so I've not sort of planned how this video is going to go, but I always did know what I wanted to tell you, because I don't know how to explain it, but like I hate feeling like I can't be 100% myself and not sort of tell you things and what's going on, because I just feel like I can't connect with you as much as I possibly can when I'm not being truthful. So what sort of like inspired me to do this video today, I did not expect to be doing this video now, or I actually didn't know when I was going to come back on YouTube, but I actually got a message on Instagram, I think it was a few days ago, off this girl, and she had contacted me and just basically said that she's never like seen my YouTube before and she's just found it, and she's recently got a feeding tube, and watching my videos have really helped her and things like that. And I think that's been the main sort of inspiration to come back today, I guess. Oh, sorry, my brother literally just knocked on my door as I was just sort of like about to just bite the bullet and talk about everything. So there are two things that I mainly need to update you on, I would say, and I don't really know which one to begin with first. I really don't know which one to begin with, so I'm just going to go ahead. So the first one that is something that I've wanted to tell you is, as I've already just said in this video, what I went through last year, I really did struggle when I got home, which I've already told you about, and it was just something that I seemed to really struggle with, like probably a lot more than I let on, and I just seemed to not really understand why I was struggling so much, because I always knew that it was going to be difficult to process, you know, not being in the real world for such a long time and then coming home and having all of this to process and sort of learn how to live a life with what is going on, like all this TPN stuff, and just taking everything in and sort of processing everything that happened to me. And I just didn't think that I would struggle as much as I had done, and I knew that I didn't feel depressed. You know, I have struggled with depression in the past and I know how that feels like, and I just kept saying to James, you know, I don't feel depressed, but something's just not right. Like I didn't know whether it was anxiety or I just didn't know, but there were so many different things that was happening that was sort of like warnings of what was going on. So one of them would be, for example, like I literally couldn't sleep. I don't know why, and I was so tired all the time, but every time I try and go to sleep, it's like I'd go into this trance that I was sort of, you know, every time I shut my eyes, I was in hospital, I was in a room, and I was in one of the rooms that I'd stayed in, and it always seemed to be the room that I was last in. It never seemed to be any of the other bays that I was in. It was the room that I was last in, and I just was there, and I just felt like I was there, and I didn't understand how to get out. And then I'd fall asleep, and then I'd have the exact same sort of nightmares every night that I was in hospital. I couldn't leave, I was just there and there and there, and like it just kept going and going and going. And then I'd wake up like randomly in the middle of the night and I didn't know where I was. Like I didn't understand how I was at home because I'd just been in hospital, and it is really bizarre to explain, but that's something that I was really struggling with. So obviously sleep deprivation was really affecting me, and being as tired as I normally am anyway, that did not help. And then one of the other things as well is that something that I'm still struggling with is I'm very, very, very cautious about my central line. So as far as I've already explained to you, and you know, if you guys know, central lines are quite a risky thing to have. You're so sort of open to sepsis and, you know, getting bacterias, and I've heard so many horror stories about people sort of having issues with their line, and it just terrifies me to have to go back into hospital. And I don't know why I'm so terrified. Well, I do know why I'm so terrified to go back in, but I'm so terrified to go back in that I feel like every time I set up my TPN and disconnect my TPN, I am so overly thorough. And I know that's not a bad thing at all, because the more thorough you can be, the better. But I am so thorough to the point where I get so stressed and overwhelmed, and I feel sick, and I'm double checking everything, and if I think I've done something wrong, I have to start all over again. And you know, like James has watched me sometimes, or one of the nurses when they first watched me, when they signed me off, they'd watched me do it so many times, and I kept saying, no, I've done that wrong, then I need to wipe that again. And they kept saying, you've done everything correctly, you don't need to do it again. But it's like I almost felt like it was like similar to like an OCD thing, but I knew it also wasn't that. So there was just so many different things in my mood I was struggling with and all of that. And James actually turned around to me one day and just said, I think you might be struggling with PTSD. And I was like, no, I'm not. Like, I'm not. And I think it's because I didn't understand how post-traumatic stress disorder actually works. And I just always stereotypically thought that you had to go through like a major trauma in your life to have something like that affect you. And I think that's why I just didn't think that that was a thing. But I'd just started at this point, when James had mentioned that, seeing a therapist, and I think I'd already mentioned to you that it was the same therapist that I'd started seeing like towards the end of my hospital stay, because I was struggling to process everything then. And it was really great to speak to him, because I didn't have to explain everything all over again. He already knew what I'd been through, and he sort of did all of these assessments, and I explained to him, like, I genuinely don't feel depressed, but something's not right. I shouldn't be feeling this way all of the time. He did all of these assessments about like dissociation, I can never say the word, dissociating from your body, and like anxiety tests, depression tests, and all of this stuff. And we had this sort of session one day, and he just said, now, you have post-traumatic stress disorder. He said it's very common for people that have gone through situations in their life that's been a major stress and worry, and explained it all really well. And it sort of gave me a bit of a relief in a way to know that there was a reason as to why I was feeling like that, but it didn't fix me. You know, I was really struggling, and I still am struggling. I just feel like these past couple of weeks I have actually felt a little bit more motivated, a little bit, but I'm still struggling with so many different aspects that there's no point in going into it, because I'd have you here forever. But that was one of the first things that I needed to tell you, that one of the reasons why I've been absent is because I've been really struggling with that. Like I said, I just genuinely didn't know that I could have something like that. I just always thought it'd be something that I couldn't, you know, I just didn't think that what I went through was sort of enough trauma to have ever let something like that to affect me. But the sort of steps that I'm taking now is I'm doing something called EDMR therapy. I think it's I'll have to double check on that. I think it's EMDR. So it's like eye movement therapy to move certain stresses and traumas in your brain to different parts. And it sounds really crazy, but it obviously is proven to work, because that's what they're offering me. They want to do a different type of therapy that doesn't work, but I'm just trying to remain hopeful that will work. And I'm just trying really hard to work on myself and take all the time I need and things like that. So that's just like the shortened version of that. So that's one of the reasons I've been absent. Now the second thing that is something that I honestly, like, I really didn't know how to update you on this. Like, this is probably one of the things that has been really affecting me as well, and I just don't know how to come out and say it. Like, I genuinely don't. But let me just have a sip of my brew before I start. And I'm gonna do really well in this video. I'm not gonna cry. Like, I'm all about positivity right now, so I'm doing really well. Okay, maybe have another sip. Okay, so if you've been following me for a while, you will know that me and my family are super close, and my dad unfortunately has gone through some health struggles in the past. He has fought cancer twice. The first cancer he had was a melanoma in his eye, and he had to have his right, I was trying to work out which one it is, and his right eye removed, and then he's now got a fake eye. The second time was, I think it was September 2021, and I did tell you about that, so if you've been following me for a while, like I said, you'll know about it. But he had a partial liver resection because it was classed as secondary from the eye, even though it was later, but it was the same cancer. So he had that removed and got the all clear. Now in October 2022, so bear in mind I was in the prime of my hospital stays. It was when I was very poorly. This is when we also found out about this news, which is probably why I've struggled so much being home, because I've had so much more to process than just the hospital. But just to explain, he has been diagnosed with cancer again. This time it is unfortunately not as simple as the other times. So like other times he'd sort of given us treatment options and what can be done, etc. And this one he has been given a prognosis. So in October they give us a prognosis of 6 months, which isn't even far away now. I mean, November, December, January, February, March, April, so we're in April at 6 months. He was given a prognosis of that. So the cancer he has got is octinal melanoma. Now it's a very rare cancer. If you sort of research it, you might come across it, and it's all related to his eye. So it's all the same cancer. So right now it's come back in his liver, and for the second time, obviously he had a partial liver resection last time. Now they unfortunately can't do radiotherapy, they can't do chemotherapy, they can't cut it out, they can't have a transplant. Every option that you can potentially think of that we've tried to look into, it's not an option for him due to the rarity of the cancer, and also due to a lot of other factors as to why you can't have it. But it's back, it's bad, and I had to process that news when I was in hospital. So I was struggling very bad when I was in hospital, because every day I was there not getting anywhere was like a day in my head. It was like a day less with my dad, and I just couldn't, I genuinely couldn't process it. And I think it was so difficult to process as well, which it still is, because he looks so well. Like, I'm not joking, if you came across my dad and saw him, you would not even think there's a single thing wrong with him. He is going to the gym, he's walking, he's absolutely fine, he's got no symptoms whatsoever, which I can only be so extremely grateful for. Which is why it's so much harder to digest it's actually real, because I look at him and he's fine, he feels fine. The only things that the hospital have offered him is something called immunotherapy. So it's very different to chemo and radiotherapy, but they basically said it's something we can offer you that might just give you more time. But the doctor's recommendations from the cancer centre are to actually try and get into clinical trials for his cancer. Now he's actually got into one, which is, I can only literally count as many blessings as I possibly can. He's got in one, but basically it's a clinical trial for his specific rare cancer, and it is literally, if you can imagine it, you take tablets every day. It's 4 tablets a day, and it is literally chemotherapy in a tablet. That's the only way I can describe it. I want to say that they're on phase 2, but I might be wrong in that, but I did think that it was on phase 2, so obviously it's past phase 1, which is amazing. So what happens is basically they give him these pills, he takes 4 a day, and then he has every time the prescription runs out, he has to go and get some new ones. They check his bloods, they do like heart scan, like all this type of stuff, ECGs, check if there's any changes to his bloods. And then I think it's it might be every 8 weeks. I might have got that wrong as well, but I think it's every 8 weeks he has a scan, and they're going to compare the ones from before. So the hope from the trial is that they have said that it's not going to cure it, it's not going to get rid of it, it's just going to hopefully put it at bay, which is all you can literally possibly ask for. Like, I just need more time. I'm gonna have a sip of my brew again so I don't cry. That is all I can ask for, and that is all my whole entire family can ask for. So he's just basically on these tablets. Now, bear in mind, like I said, it's been 6 months. He has still got no symptoms. There's been no changes in his blood count, like all of his liver type of stuff. So in my eyes, his clinical trial is the most wonderful thing that we've ever come across, because nothing has changed. But we just also have to be very, very realistic that it is a trial. It's a rare cancer, so you know, we just don't know what might happen. But like I also said to my family, it's a rare cancer, so you know, they might cure it. You just never know with things, and medicine changes so much. So as long as we can keep him with no symptoms, that's all we can possibly ask for. But that's the most sort of like overall view that I can possibly sort of do on my dad, because I probably will just cry, and I really don't want to do that today. But that's another reason why I haven't posted, because I think I struggled with that coming home from the hospital, because like I said, I had to process that I was in a hospital, and I just couldn't very well, and I'm still struggling to process it now because he is fine. And you know, I don't know how to explain it, but like, you always just think of your parents, and you know, they're just superheroes. Like they're always going to be okay, you know, and that's why I'm just struggling so much to accept it. But I'm sure if any of you have been in the same position that have unfortunately lost any of your parents or anything, you might understand where I'm coming from. But it's just so hard to accept, and I know that's probably complete not a denial, but I'm looking at it in the way of I am being hopeful that everything's going to be okay, because he's my dad and he's always okay. So that's the update on that. But I think mixed with coming home, trying to actually remember how to live in the real world again, trying to process all of what the hell has just happened to me, trying to process my new diagnosis and get used to my TPN and this life that is so different from what I were 12 months ago, trying to also process everything that happened with my dad, trying to think about getting back to work. And I think I've just been extremely overwhelmed, and it's just all hit me all at once. But when I actually stopped posting on YouTube, I know I said there was only 2 things I needed to update you on, there is actually sort of 3. So when I stopped posting on YouTube is sort of when I hit my rock bottom, and it was actually due to one of you guys that watch me on YouTube. There was, I'm doing really well, I'm gonna have another sip of my brew. There was the most amazing gentleman that, if you look back on all of my videos, and you might have seen him comment before, you might have seen him comment on my Instagram, he was called Alan. And honestly, I met him online in 2020, and he's French, he's from France, and he spoke really good English, but we connected online and we spoke all the time. I would consider him a good friend because he was just so lovely. He cared about me so much. He always commented on my videos, we spoke really regularly, and when I was in hospital we were speaking a lot. And I don't know if you remember me posting one of the videos where I showed you what gifts I'd got in hospital. He had got me them books from, you know, he lives in France, and he'd ordered some books from a London bookstore and sent them to me. And I just cannot like deal with how special he was. He was such a kind soul. And he unfortunately was diagnosed with cancer last year, and he passed away sort of just before I stopped posting on YouTube. I found out from his daughter that messaged me, and I think that just did me in, you know. He was so amazing. So if any of you are religious, you know, please pray for his family and just have him in your thoughts. But he was such a gentle, so kind-spirited, and I think I just miss him. I miss talking to him and I miss getting messages off him. And I've actually started, when I've been trying to, you know, focus on myself and heal, I've been reading his books that he sent me. And yeah, that's all of the updates I wanted to give you. And I did want to definitely mention Alan today because I just cared about him a lot and he cared about me a lot. And you know, I only met him through my YouTubes and my Instagram, similar to how I know all of you guys. And I know that I say it all the time, but like, I genuinely care about every single one of you. And just hearing bad news about somebody that it's weird because I don't even meet him in real life, you know, but you just feel like you know someone so well online, and it just hit me really bad. So I think it just sent me into this sort of like downward spiral. But like I said, these past few weeks I've actually felt like a bit more at ease. I felt a bit more relaxed, and just really I'm trying so unbelievably hard to work on myself. And like I said at the beginning of the video, when that girl had sent me that message on Instagram, I just broke down in tears, because just hearing that, just one message of one person just to say how much your videos have helped, I just thought, I can't just go like absent for a bit and come back. Like, I need to show you the bad and the good, and I want to be here for you guys as much as you genuinely are here for me so much. And that one message from that girl just literally, I cannot explain to how much it meant to me. So I thought, let's come back today. I want to speak to you all. I need to just tell you the God's honest truth about everything, and hopefully now everything's out in the open, you can sort of understand why I have been struggling so much. And I am honestly trying so hard. Like, I have never tried so much in my life to be okay, not just for myself but for my dad and for my family. And I just want to be okay mentally as much as I can be physically. So if any of you are also struggling, please don't feel like, you know, you have to be ashamed of it, or you know, you have to pretend you're okay when you're not. Like, please don't do that. If you need to speak to me, just message me. Like, I can probably hopefully relate to you. If I can't, I will try and help as much as possible. But just don't feel like you're alone if you're going through something right now. You know, this world is so difficult to live in sometimes, but you just have to keep going. And I've always keep telling myself that this is going to be the worst, you know, like, things happen, but like, you can look forward in the future. And I'm just trying to focus on things like that. So I'm probably going to end this video here, but I do just want to explain to you obviously all of that, and that I am going to try my absolute best to start posting once a week again. I feel like I've all of it. Okay, so my camera just died just as I was about to finish off the video, so I've composed myself a little bit now. But I was just getting to the point of saying I'm really going to try and upload a video once a week. I have lots of like fun things to update you on that has probably happened in the past like few weeks that I've not been posting as well, and lots of things to catch you up on, like, that's not sad. So I'll make sure, and it's probably going to be my motivation as well, to make sure that I am keeping up with you guys regularly and knowing what's also going on with you and things like that. So thank you so much for listening to this video. I hope it's not been too long. It's just been really difficult to get all of that in short without also like with properly explaining it as well. So thank you so much for watching again, and I will speak to you very soon. Bye.